Hello, friends. I am so excited to welcome you to the very, very first live at Burnout Heroes. I am so delighted to be here today with you. We used to run these in Facebook as Facebook Lives, but by popular demand from our community, out of which a lot of people are actually not on Facebook, we started doing these on YouTube. So it's a privilege to be here with you guys today, whether you're watching live or you're connecting in replay. Basically, what this space is all about, why we are here, I guess it's the first thing we should talk about since this is our very, very first session here. So this is a space where we will, for half an hour every single week, connect and just chat about things connected to burnout, to work and life balance, and how to feel better in our lives and how to, live the life that we have here, this precious opportunity to be here on this planet in a more authentic, connected way. So what we're going to do today, today's topic is about burnout symptoms. It has been voted by our community on Facebook to talk about this. I also personally think that it's a really great kind of opening topic because a lot of people are wondering what burnout really is, and there is so much written about it these days, and there are different understandings of it. So why not just kind of open it with talking about what's the context of burnout and what is really going on when we experience it. And what we're going to do today as well, there are 3 questions that I picked, that I collected throughout this week, that I received from people from our Burnout Heroes community. And it's just something that we will do. We will use this space to answer any of your questions. So also, if you're watching this live, feel free to just write your question in a chat. This is the perfect opportunity for you to actually ask me any questions that might be related to either my personal experience with my burnout or the recovery, or the research that I've been doing over the past few years, or perhaps point you to some places if I don't know the answer, maybe where we could go and look together, or you can go and do some more research. So this is really your time. This is for you to get some energy, going for your week, before your weekend, to feel better in your life. So really use this space, utilize this space as a gift to you. And I really love engagement. I love hearing from you. So let me know if you're here. I really love to see that you're watching. So I'm going to start with a sip of tea. And this is also my invitation to you to just get super comfortable wherever you are. Just really make sure that for this session today, this is your time for yourself, and it's a gift to yourself that you're giving to yourself. So, yeah, just taking a sip of this comforting tea right now. So, beautiful friends, burnout is associated with stress. It's basically it's our I guess lack of ability to cope with stress in the given time period in our life. And this is really interesting because stress means different things to different people. So stress is actually not negative. Stress can be very positive for us, but only if it's in short term. Because what happens within our body is that our body is actually built to cope with stress. However, if we go through periods of prolonged stress, if we go through chronic stress, that's really when it starts accumulating and starts having negative effects on our body. So I want to open this session today with actually just a little practical experience. We're going to do a little bit of breathing together, and I will explain to you in a minute why we did that, and we will observe together what actually happened. So feel free to close your eyes. If that helps you to connect better, I'm going to do that definitely for myself. So I'm just going to see me with my eyes closed and just tune into your breath and observe how you're breathing right now in this moment. And as you're observing your breath, you can start slowly navigating it. Make your inhale more mindful, and your exhale a more powerful release. Bring an intention to your breath to support your body through it. Slow down your breath. Can you quiet down your body by breathing slower and slower, taking your inhales longer and your exhales longer? And let's connect our breath together. Take one big inhale together. And exhale together. Let's connect our energy once again. Inhale. And exhale together. And one more time. Inhale. Beautiful. So I partly do these exercises to really calm myself down and to help myself to ground into the present moment. So thank you for journeying with me in this beautiful experience. So what have you observed on your body? What's been going on as you were breathing, as you were actively navigating your breathing? What happened for me, I'm going to see if anyone joins in comments. What happened on my end was definitely feeling the body calming down and rooting a little bit more into the chair and feeling more peaceful and feeling more relaxed. So at the beginning of this video, when I opened, there was a lot more kind of like vibrancy and, the heart rate going faster. And with this breathing exercise that we just did, I felt a very obvious change in that, so on the physiological level. So I'm really curious to see what happened for you. And really the kind of like takeaway that's immediate from this exercise is that, and I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, but it's just something that you probably observed yourself, is that when we slow down our breathing, we send a signal to our body that everything is okay. We calm down, we relax more. So only by manipulating our breath, we can already influence how we're feeling on the mental level, on the emotional level, and also physically in our body, which is super powerful. That's amazing. So think about all those moments in your life where you have been just overwhelmed, perhaps had a panic attack or were really stressed. So what if you could go into an exercise that took 5 minutes, whether that's in a toilet or, wherever, just get away from the scene and breathe for a few minutes and calm your body down. So when speaking about stress, which is associated with burnout, there are various techniques how we can actually close the stress cycle, which is a natural healthy response to stress, that we go through the stress cycle, we experience the stress, and then at the end we close it and we get to the point when we're like, okay, we're okay, we survived. However, if we do not do this, if we do not close that stress cycle, what happens is that we trap this stress inside our body and we experience chronic stress. So that's basically burnout in a nutshell. And because stress, is different for everyone, like we all get stressed by different things. For someone, it's too much work. For someone, it's financial pressure. For someone, it could be not feeling rewarded. It can be a lot of different stuff. It can be, things that might seem irrational to us that other people are stressed about. It's very quite personal. But the bottom line is that why we talk about stress and what actually happens in the body. That's what I want to talk about today. So when you're experiencing burnout, the stress, if you take it apart into this smaller segments, what actually happens within the body. So our hormonal system gets disrupted. Hormones, we know that is primarily what runs us, what runs our body, what runs our mental state, what runs our health. And when hormones get disrupted, we don't have the natural ability to heal, to grow, to procreate, to be able to produce any kind of output, to be able to cope with stress. So the main hormones that get disrupted that are associated with burnout are cortisol levels, oxytocin levels, adrenaline, and that's why many times we talk about adrenal fatigue, and also the sex hormones. So a lot of people actually don't know this, but this hormonal disbalance actually causes us, and for some people it can actually be lifelong. Once we get into this phase of a prolonged stress, it can have lifetime impact for you. So it's actually really hard to then replenish the hormones that we lost because our body is not functioning properly. So it's just for you to understand that when you are putting yourself in a position of being stressed out for a long period of time, it's not just the fact that you have heart palpitations, or you're feeling anxious. Really, the impact on your body is long term, and it can be detrimental. It can severely damage your brain function. It can really impact your cognitive abilities, your social skills. This is all connected to the hormones that are being disrupted. So if you would like more information about this and to go more in depth within this, then that's something that we offer within our courses. You can connect with me as well. I'm always happy to chat more about that. But I really just wanted to bring your attention to this before even talking about any symptoms that we actually experience. Just when we talk about stress, this is what's happening in terms of the chemistry within the body. And so some of the typical symptoms that you would notice that are related to burnout, and again, different people have different experiences here, but on the physiological level, which I would like to start with because that's kind of the most obvious one for a lot of people, it can be insomnia. It can be different physical pains, such as the neck pain and the back pain are usually, the most common. Having headaches, feeling dizziness, having even like leg pain, pain in your hips, pain in your lower back. That's the adrenal gland area. So it can be pain in your chest as well. It can be like lots of different pains. Your immunity also decreases, so you are more likely to get ill, especially if there is like viral season, if there is a virus around. It really is your body's ability to, it's kind of like its natural immunity and response to be able to cope with any kind of pressure really is reflected on the physiological level in terms of the body giving you signals in form of pain and not being so immune to things that are happening around you within your environment. So that's on the physiological level. And what happens also mentally and emotionally is kind of like getting into, a lot of people experience depression and anxiety as a part of burnout. It kind of goes hand in hand. Those are some of the kind of common symptoms there as well. But I really want to bring your attention to some things that are very specific to burnout. And it's this kind of stuff that a lot of people feel really bad about and ashamed of. At least I did. And that's because they feel like they're not coping, but they don't really want to seem like they're kind of just complaining about, the normal things, like where they kind of like are in a really good position in terms of their job, for example, and they don't want it to look like they are not appreciating it, or to put their company in a bad light. So what happens with burnout is that people tend to get cynical, they tend to get disengaged, their professional efficacy goes down, and so we are not able to produce as much because we just simply don't care. We're not as engaged in the work that we're doing because it doesn't make sense to us anymore. It's losing its meaning. So apart from having depression that has its own diagnosis and feeling anxiety, feeling stressed out, burnout is also associated with this very specific state of mind and emotional state where we get disengaged, we get cynical, we get resentful, and we might get aggressive, towards people who we love, who we are working with, and it's quite a particular state of mind and emotional state. So that also happens when you're going through a burnout. So I'm really interested, what are you guys? What have you experienced? And perhaps has any of the stuff that I just mentioned, has it caused you, these feelings of shame or like not really being able to talk about it? I definitely felt like I would not be understood when I was going through this, and I felt extremely bad because, oh my goodness, like I was in a job that was amazing, and amazing, intelligent, lovely, friendly people around me, but things just stopped making sense to me, and I felt like a total like outcast, because I was like, what am I complaining about? Like, why is this not making sense to me? But I was so angry. So I was grumpy, and I was kind of like, was this like state of aggressiveness that I really didn't know how to deal with, because it's not just about the fact that you're depressed and you're feeling really low. It's also about the fact that you really are missing that meaning in life and that purpose, and you don't really know which way to go. So the point of this conversation is for you, if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, or you feel like this video might be helpful for anyone that is to really just normalize talking about this. These symptoms are not okay. It's not healthy to be in this state, but we do need to talk about them, because a lot of people out there are experiencing this, and the traditional medicine, the traditional fields of support that we know are not powerful enough, are not actually supportive enough to lead people through their burnout experience in a way that actually empowers them. And that's absolutely my mission. And what we're doing at Burnout Heroes, it's not to put you in a state of a victim that, oh my God, you're sick and you need to fix yourself. But it's just to put you in a position of a curious human being, of a curious soul that's here to understand, okay, this is not making sense to me anymore, even though I believed for 30 years that this was the way to live my life and this was the way to achieve success and happiness. So if that's not making sense to me anymore, let's get curious about what is. And so if my body is telling me that, it's associating extreme pain and anxiety with these things, then what makes me feel better? And start connecting within yourself and follow your body, really. What is your body telling you? And so that is a beautiful exploration. Once you open that door, you will learn so much about yourself. So really, I just want to reiterate the focus of these videos. It's about having these conversations, which are in most cases still a taboo in companies, in families. It's, we want to help our loved ones, but it might be quite scary, especially when people say that they don't see any meaning in life. And, like burnout comes with lots of different additional kind of symptoms and elements that are very specific for everyone's context. So it's very important for us to be aware of, the uniqueness of it, and to be able to have these conversations. So this really is the place. So for the future weeks, I really encourage you to come with questions, and I would love to also see, within our community, if you're interested on Facebook, we have a private group you can join our conversations there. The more we talk about this, the more we help others who are in this position. And the reason why to do it is because that state when you wake up in the morning and your adrenal glands are literally dysfunctioning already first thing in the morning, and that's why you're feeling depressed, that's why you're feeling so low, because the chemistry in your body doesn't allow you to be joyful no matter what. So when you are in that state, it's just, comparing it with where you can be, that's priceless. It's feeling like you're in this completely helpless position of your life, and then shifting from that to being empowered and connected within, and feeling like, I know why I'm doing this. I want my life to be like this. I'm so excited to get up from bed. I can't wait to do this and that, and it's not even work for me because I love it so much. I'm having so much fun. So this is the shift that has happened for me, and it's absolutely possible. And I really just, if I can support anyone in any way to go from this original place to this absolutely empowered, joyful, pleasurable, amazing, creative space, then that's why I'm here. That's why we're having these conversations. So thank you guys for watching this part where we talked about the symptoms of burnout, the signs of burnout. And I also want to touch on these 3 questions that I mentioned. So really interesting questions this week, and each of them is actually from a different kind of part of our life or practice. So the first question came from my friend in Australia, and she was wondering how to stay consistent. She basically felt like she was always, she knew what she wanted to do. She knows what she's good at least, like I can see, when I see her in her element, she is fabulous, amazing. And she has a passion project. She has, things that really drive her. But at the same time, she feels like she is swayed in these different directions because she also wants to help others. And she keeps kind of being distracted from her goal and from her passion, because there's these things happening in her life that are kind of like pulling her into these different directions. So she was wondering, how do you stay consistent within just following your goal, following your dream, and not compromise it and not prioritize other people over, what you're building, what you're doing here. And I just thought that was a brilliant question, because I found it really fascinating that actually she saw me as someone who is very consistent, and I found that really cute, because I actually I am super persistent in the things that I'm pursuing, and I get excited about something, and I then drive full speed ahead. But at the same time, I really love change, and I love pivoting. This is pretty much what happened with Burnout Heroes last year. That's for another video, but I think there is this like art of knowing when to steer, like when to change the direction and when to stick with things, and going after what you set your mind to. And it's really quite challenging, because how do you know, like you want to kind of flow with life and see the opportunities that present themselves and be able to support others and, get into collaborations and things like that. but at the same time, you feel this deep connection with what you're here to do, at least now in this present moment. So I would be really curious to see how you guys do this, because you're all really amazing, successful, ambitious people who have gotten to really senior positions in companies, have their own businesses, and you have your own kind of recipe for success. How do you navigate this space of being agile and being kind of open to change, but also not get too distracted by so many opportunities out there? And I also think that there is an aspect of today's culture where we do get distracted by so many things out there. So I think this is some kind of an interplay of what are you holding yourself accountable to internally, and how good is your discipline? How powerful is actually the connection that you have internally with what you're creating, with what you're doing? Because the stronger the connection, the more motivation and persistence you will have in your actions. So it's about that, like, what's the internal connection? And then also externally, how good are you in navigating that space? And one of the really important things out there is to address your people pleaser, to address this need to be validated, to be liked, to save everyone, to take responsibility for others, which is something, it's one of the first things that we address in our course, Burnout Heroes, because a lot of people do get into burnout, not because they cannot handle stress, like too much workload, but they are actually taking a lot of responsibility for others and letting other people's opinions or expectations or projections to really drive their lives. So I think that, the answer to this question, how do you maintain that consistency and persistence, is not just about you having the right tools, how to be a successful person, here are the 10 tips, but it really is about looking inwards and looking at, are you actually really connected to that thing you're doing? And from what place are you responding to people? If you feel like you're being pulled in these directions, what are the reasons why you're engaging with that stuff outside you? So that was the first question. Really interesting. Curious to hear what you guys think. And the second question is that the other two questions are about body. So question number 2 came from my former client and a beautiful collaborator of mine. Hello, Lady L. I was really curious when you asked me about this question around voice activation, because I see, so basically her question was, hey, can you share a little bit more about what you're doing with your voice activation lessons that you started taking? So I started taking those. She is an incredible public speaker and, public policy person. And I just recognize that, within our soft skills, there are, I don't know whether that's between the soft or hard skill, being able to speak, really activate your voice and speak in a way that feels authentic to you and feels really connected. What kind of training is the right one for that? And so there is the typical training where we're learning about speech and our voice, but actually the sessions that I've been going to are more connected to activating my womb space, which is, the sex center where my essence really dwells, and activating the heart and connecting those energy centers then with the throat chakra. So it really is about connecting with the purity of my own essence in order to be able to voice that. And so the voice part of it is really just the last step in that process. And so we do this through breath work, and I'm learning to sing, or like kind of rediscovering my singing abilities. So that is really interesting, because I see with a lot of clients that, our voice has been suppressed. Our voice has been silenced by, other people's expectations. And we feel like we have to fit into a certain scheme, and we don't know whether our voice is valid, if someone's going to make fun of us, and all these things that are associated with that. So the ability to activate your voice is really just a reflection of the ability to connect with who you really are. And once you're there, then it kind of comes like that. For me, it's been almost an instant activation. So it's a really interesting process. If you are curious about this again, send me a message. Maybe we can organize some sessions around that. Because we want to incorporate more of this. There are parts, so voice activation is a part of our training, but I feel like this is such an important topic, especially when you are getting out there on your journey into the unknown and you're literally redefining who you are. So it's really important to integrate that and find your voice and then let it express, so be able to support yourself in a meaningful way. Okay, and the last question, we're almost out of our time limit. Another one of my former clients asked me about releasing stagnant energy in the hips and bringing in more openness and flexibility. So this is a really powerful practice that actually yoga, specifically yin yoga, is beautiful for, because our emotions and a lot of the stagnant energy gets stored in our hips. A lot of pain gets stored there. It's also the center of our root chakra, which is, our base chakra, the first chakra, which has a lot to do with survival and groundedness and really just feeling safe. And a lot of things that are associated with past pain and, feeling unsafe, feeling uncertain, feeling like we might die and, we might not make it within any of these stressful times. All these memories get stored there. So having a practice where you regularly open this area and slowly, with very mindful, slow breathing, go into this space where it's actually the fascia layer that we are getting deep into. This is the reason why yin yoga also takes every pose for 3 to 5 minutes, so that, this area can really be accessed with the breath. It's very different from these kind of like performance-based gymnastics-like poses that you see in yoga. To me, it's the most therapeutic yoga practice and the most powerful one as well. So look into yin yoga if you're interested in this. This beautiful person asked, how can you, go about this practice and make your hips more open, because he has noticed that he has started opening more and more, and the benefits that came with that. So the really interesting thing is that when we start moving our body, then our mindset and our mental space, our mental condition also changes. So we can literally use our body to unlock more positive and healthier states within our minds and emotionally too. So when I started doing this, and it happens very often even now, is that when I get into yin yoga practices, especially there is one pose which is called pigeon. So have a look for that one. I would cry because I feel so much pain. And one of the most beautiful learnings that I had from one of my former yoga teachers was that get curious about that pain, because is that pain really physical pain in your hips, or is that pain mental and emotional? Is that, an old memory that is stored in the body? And so what if you could just stay with it and breathe through it? What happens? So that is really beautiful when you dive into this practice of, kind of self-healing. And it literally might be 15 to 20 minutes per day. You just go through a couple of poses, and if you want to focus on the hip area, it will do wonders for you, giving yourself this time, because there is a lot stored in there. And so if you start feeling pain, just kind of observe it and go with it and see what happens. And when tears come, or, you might feel rage or anger, can you release that energy? Can you find a way how you can allow it to go out, because it is on its way out. The pain is just telling you that, something is trying to move through you. So instead of trapping it inside you, how can you allow it to move through? So how can you support your body? How can you support yourself, within the beautiful vessel that you have? You have all these tools available to you just within your body to support the growth that you are going through. So that was our last question for today. Beautiful friends, please do send me questions if you're curious. We will talk about them next week. And I would also love to hear about your experiences with burnout symptoms. What are you feeling right now? What is difficult to talk about? And are you observing anyone else around you maybe having some of these symptoms? Are you not sure whether it's burnout, what they might be going through? Is there anything else that I haven't mentioned that you would consider burnout related? I'm very curious to see what your experience is like. Thank you so much for watching today, for being here today, for watching this video in a replay. I feel like we're making history with this. I can't wait to have more of these conversations out here. The world absolutely needs to see this. If you have any feedback or suggestions, I really want to open this space now. I really invite feedback here. So please do let me know how we can make this experience better for you and more valuable for you. This is all your time. This is for you. I am sending you so much love from Bali, and I will see you next week in our next week's episode. Bye.